Hello and welcome to the Ren Den. I'm Ren, and today I'm just back from the Stitch Festival in London, so we're gonna look at what I got and what else was there, and just generally enjoy the sort of afterburn of the experience. Enjoy! The Stitch Festival is an annual thing. It's in Islington in London. It's definitely gone for the last couple of years. I would assume it's older than that, but I haven't looked it up, so don't take my word for it. It's not one of the bigger crafter events I've been to necessarily, but they pack so much into such a small space. We were there for probably like 7 hours or something like that, and we kind of barely got round everything. In fact, it turned out when we got home that we definitely missed a little corner, so... But still, I managed to pick up several lovely things and find a whole bunch of new makers to follow on Instagram and bookmark for when it's time to give people presents or to find a little treaty for myself. It was a really good day. We went on the Saturday. It was very busy. I would maybe go on the Friday next year because it was just... there were points where it was just too crowded and the aisles started to feel a little bit narrow, but you know, we survived. And that was as busy as it was going to get, so you know, there is that. So let's look at the goodies. These are loosely in chronological order as how I bought them, just because it's fun to have some kind of order going on. The first thing I picked up from Little Light Stitchery is some lined paper fabric. This is such a cool idea. I love Nikki, who runs it. I love Nikki's designs. I think they're really interesting and they kind of spark creativity in a really interesting way. She's got a world map fabric that I am thinking about, but I would like to at least have started this or have a plan before I kind of really get going. One of the cool ways to use this fabric on her stall was to like immortalize people's handwriting, and I've got loads of like birthday and Christmas cards from like back when I was small, and it would be really cool to maybe use those to sort of immortalize some of those handwritings in like an artifact of some kind. So I'm looking forward to that. Next, I picked up a hand embroidery kit for my partner for a present, the Dusty Road from Paintbox Threads, and I just thought the colours on this were really nice and the design seemed up their street, so I hope they like it. Then I picked up this hexagon jewellery pack from Daisy and Grace, where you have all the bits that you need to make a brooch, a necklace and a pair of earrings. I reserve the right to go off-piste and make some other stuff or change the shape of it once I understand the basic principles. But I like the examples that she had on her stand of these things made. The textures of them were so cool, and the way that the hexagons, there's a little bit of a distance between the hexagons, so it's not like one flat piece. It kind of moves in a really interesting way. So very much looking forward to that. Then I picked up a dress pattern. I was looking for a basic starter dress pattern, and I found this one from Tilly and the Buttons that seems to do the job. It says for beginners on it. And they do really good inclusive sizes. This one's got patch pockets. I think I would like to try and put pockets in the seam. That's just a personal thing. It's also got a drop shoulder, which I don't love, but I think on the short sleeve version it'll be absolutely fine, and on the long sleeve version I might do the short sleeve version first, and then when I have a bit more confidence in like messing with patterns, change the shoulder, because that's the only thing. It's got an elastic waist, so it's going to be really comfortable, and yeah, I've already got fabric for that, so that might actually happen this year. Then I found this fabric from Rainbow Fabrics. My partner actually has a lampshade that is in, I think, basically just a different variant of this fabric. It's the same pattern, but one of the stripes is pink and one of the stripes is green, but he loves hot pink, so I got a couple of meters of this to brainstorm what we can make out of it to kind of really celebrate his aesthetic. Then I picked up this crochet pattern from Pineapple Fiber Art, which is a really interesting idea. It's like worked in a circle, is my understanding. And then at the edge of the circle, it's looped onto a hoop to keep it taut. She's got loads of really cool designs to kind of play with that sort of basic structure. But I liked this one because I think if I do the middle in a brown and then the outside in like oranges and yellows, it'll look kind of sunflowery. And that's very much my vibe. So yeah, it's been a while since I did any crochet. I will need sock weight yarn, which I do not currently have. But that's okay. Time to buy more yarn is never bad. And leaving embroidery in the hoop doesn't really compel me. I like it to be sort of out doing something else, not just the fact that it's the design. But the way that this is using the hoop is really interesting, and that compels me much more. So looking forward to that. And finally, we stopped at the Quilted Bear, and I went into a sort of fugue state, and when I woke up I had an armful of stuff. So first I picked up these hexagon templates, because partly inspired by the jewellery set that I picked up from Daisy and Grace, because I thought it might be cool once I've worked out the basics of that to be able to scale it and make a bunch of differently sized things. And like circles, I have a compass, I can draw a circle. Squares, a bit fiddly, not that hard. Doing hexagons by hand is actually quite hard, and it involves maths, and that's a little bit intimidating. So yeah, I just thought I would grab a pack of templates. They had a show deal, so the whole thing was a little bit discounted, which was also great for me, because I also picked up a mini steam iron. Because I saw these when we went to the knitting and stitching show in Harrogate at the end of last year, and I thought that was such a good idea. It would be really cool to have something at the desk that I could just use as I'm doing bits. I think especially for something like the hexagon thing, where it's going to be lots of little bits, I think it will be great. It'll be less disruptive to have to go out, and like I only want to film in this room because like I live with people and they haven't consented to be on the internet, so this is my space, so it's free free real estate. So I haven't filmed any ironing as a kind of like, I don't know if it would be particularly interesting to film ironing, but now I have that option, I suppose, to at least include it as part of the process in a video or in a project. So that's great. And it was like a deal for a set. So you get the iron, which comes in like a carry case, because it's a sort of travel thing, I think, technically. You get a silicone iron rest that can match. You could have different colour, but I picked a matching one, so they're both green. And you get an ironing mat as well to make the table safe. So that's my haul. I feel quite pleased with it. I'm enjoying the variety of it. Like, I've got some fabric stuff, some tools, embroidery ideas, embroidery sort of kits, a little bit of quilting, a little bit of crochet. There's a lot going on, so it gives me tons of options for kind of future projects, which is really exciting. Honourable mentions, those being stalls where I didn't necessarily buy anything, but I really liked their deal and I thought that they deserve to be checked out. So please do go and check them out. Firstly, Anne's Orchard have the most beautiful embroidered ribbon. I thought hard about buying some embroidered ribbon because I've sort of got this project idea in my head of making a sort of formal dress, fancy dress, not a fancy dress, but like a sort of event dress for some stuff that's coming up. And this embroidered ribbon would be perfect for like a waistband or maybe even like shoulder straps. But I don't think I should buy the ribbon before I know what the fabric is. So once I figured that out, I will go back for a ribbon. Also wanted to mention Claire DeWitt, who makes the most beautiful textile art. She's got these machine embroidered like when you use a free motion foot. So she's doing it by hand, but using the machine. Sycamore leaves and like mushroom caps, and the detail on them is just so fine and incredible. I can't explain to you. Please go and look her up. It's amazing. I don't like impulse purchasing art because I want to know where it's going to go, but I'm definitely thinking about it, and I would love to have something of hers for this room. I think it would be absolutely perfect. So please go and check her out. I definitely wanted to mention Ragged Life. They make rag rugs in a couple of different styles, and we stood at that stall for like 15 minutes, just mesmerized by the demonstrations that they were doing. They were making a rug on a peg loom, which I hadn't seen before, and we were just like bamboozled by how it worked. We had to stand there until she like transferred the next wodge of weaving down the rug, just so that we could understand how it worked. And I didn't buy anything from there, but people I was with did buy stuff from there, including a giant loom that we then had to cart around the rest of the festival. But it was great, and I'm really excited to see what comes of that. Also, they do classes and workshops. So if rag rug making is something, and not just rugs necessarily, but those techniques are something that you're interested in, then do go and check them out, because they have workshops and stuff for that. The other stall I definitely want to mention was Sincerely Louise. They had a really cool take on, you know, those like yearly temperature trackers. Like people will crochet or knit a blanket that's every row is the temperature for that day, and you can make a kind of unique artifact out of the data that shows up, and sort of really cool transitions and colours. Sincerely Louise have got a temperature tracker that's like a mushroom banner, and I can't express to you, please go and check it out. It looks so cool. It's a really interesting take on that idea, and not for something that I've seen before. And the kit that it comes with looks really comprehensive. There's like instructions of like, if you wanted to look up a previous year and do it based on the temperatures of a different year that's not now, then you can do that. It looked really easy to kind of engage with. Daily things like that aren't great for me. I mean, monthly things aren't great for me. I literally haven't touched my like monthly stitch diary hoop thing since you last saw it, which was in January. I literally haven't done anything with it. So I don't think temperature trackers are necessarily for me, but I kind of wish that they were, or that they were for someone in my house, because I would love that banner to be in my house. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. I've also bookmarked a bunch of fabric stalls from the show, particularly Rainbow Fabrics, where I bought the tiger fabric from, Cloth Atelier, and A Beautiful Thing. But basically anyone who had fabric there were no weak links in that scenario. So if someone had a stall at the Stitch Festival 2025 and sells fabric, it all just looked gorgeous. And it was only the knowledge that I have a shelf full of fabric and projects that I haven't done yet that sort of stopped me from just going absolutely ham. There was so much choice, and it's really cool to, like, round here I haven't yet found like a good fabric shop, and it's just so valuable to be able to like feel the fabric before you buy stuff. So it's just a really good opportunity to do that. So that was great. And that's it. Bit of a short one today, but there's a couple of chonkers coming, so look forward to those. Feel free to like and subscribe, as always, if you enjoyed the video. Maybe see you at Stitch Festival next year. And otherwise, take care, and I will see you on the next project.